manifesting your magic. And that is what I am all about. And that's what I'm here to teach you, is how to manifest your magic. And I'm going to show you some tools, tricks of the trade. And if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Tabitha. I am a psychic, and I'm all about personal development, your soul's purpose, your natural gifts, your spirituality, all that fun stuff. So if you are new here, welcome. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to read you a card, and I'm going to show you my process and how I work. So right now that card wants to come out, and I'm going to let it come out. So I'm going to look at it here in just a second. I'm going to ask a question, and the question is, which direction are you headed? Which direction are you headed? And so these cards are actually all about angels, and I love them so much. So the angel of grace came out, the angel of grace, and I'm going to show you that. There's a little bit of a glare, and hopefully you're able to see this beautiful angel. It is a bit abstract, which is beautiful. That is part of Oracle cards as well. So the angel of grace, I'm going to give you a bit of a reading. So if this resonates with you, then wonderful, go with it. Only take the parts that do resonate with you. And when I say resonate, what I mean by that is just like they feel good within you. Sometimes messages come through that might not necessarily feel like all giddy and excited and happy, but there's a resonance there. There's something deep within the message that just feels right to you, even though it might not be like the most satisfying message. But it's like, okay, I needed to hear that. That's what resonance. That's what feeling as though it resonates with you. That's what it's all about. So now I forget what the question was even about. Which direction are you headed? And so the angel of grace comes out, comes forth. And I do close my eyes when I give messages. It helps me tap in. And right now I'm going to teach you a little bit about my process. So this is more of a universal message. It's not necessarily a one-on-one, but if you do decide to get a one-on-one, it will be very specific to you. But I do trust that this message will resonate with you one way or another, but only take what resonates with you. So with that being said, I do ask to receive messages in all ways for the highest good. So the angel of grace. So sometimes the direction that we're headed in might not feel all that graceful. Interesting. Sometimes there are bumps, there are challenges, there are setbacks, there are it's almost like I'm getting this like itchy feeling, like there are icky parts of our plan and our goals and our aspirations and our dreams. And so sometimes when we're trying to move forward, it's not always graceful, right? It's not always pretty. It's not always perfect. It doesn't always feel like it's going to be all roses all of the time, right? And so the angel of grace comes forward. The angel of grace comes forward to remind you that this is all part of the process. And so the parts that might not feel all that great are actually just as necessary as the parts that do feel peaceful and calming and relaxing and in flow with the universe. It's just all part of the plan. And so you might be thinking, well, why do we need to take on these challenges? Why do these bumps in the road have to come? And so it's almost like the universe is talking about this, the timing of things. So sometimes it's like when a car pulls out in front of you and you're like, you kind of have to like slam on your brakes, or you're like, what the hell? Why did you run out in front of me? Or that was a stupid move. Why did that person do that? But it's almost like the universe is working at a state from we might not always understand it. But this car comes out in front of you and you're like, what the hell? But it's almost like that car was intentionally put there so you can slow down. So at first it seems like a challenge. It seems like an annoyance. It seems like could be literally a bump in the road, right? But really it's all for the good, because perhaps maybe you would have missed your turn, or you might have not heard the message on the radio that you needed to hear, or maybe you saw something along the way that otherwise you wouldn't have seen or noticed. It also reminds me of when this man actually did cut in front of me, and I heard this loud bump in the back of my truck, and I forgot to put my tailgate up. So initially I was angry at this man for cutting me off, but Spirit was like, before you get on the freeway, you've got something in your trunk that you didn't remember to close the tailgate. And so that could have caused a serious accident. And so even though some things don't really make sense and some things are challenging for us, Spirit is like, it's all working out for the highest good. So that's why sometimes challenges come to us, because it's like we need to slow down, we need to reassess, we need to trust the process. It's almost like Spirit is allowing us to trust. So the more like little bumps or the little challenges that come along the way, it's like God or Spirit, the universe is like, okay, now I want you to trust. I want you to get settled in. I want you to breathe. I want you to reconnect. It's almost like, ironically, it's like Spirit's asking you to resettle yourself and reground yourself in those moments that do feel stressful. So when things don't always feel graceful and beautiful and like everything's flowing, those are the moments where you are to reset yourself. And so that actually allows you to connect even further with Spirit, even deeper with Spirit. So even though it's easier to get upset and angry when these challenges pop up, and we might get pissed off, we might get just annoyed with the situation, Spirit's asking you to reset and reground yourself. So I do hope that this message was helpful for you, and however it does resonate with you, but you are on the right track. But just sometimes when there's a little bit of a bump in the road and things don't always feel graceful, just remind yourself, okay, this is a moment, this is an opportunity for me to reground myself. And you might not be able to do it right in that split second, but to set the intention to do it later on. And in order for you to reground yourself, maybe you could just take a few deep breaths. You can ask to trust the process. You can take a moment to close the door, shut your phone off, shut the media off, shut the mind down a little bit. The mind will never, ever fully be shut down because that's the process of the brain, right? But to set the intention, to give yourself that space when things don't feel as graceful. And the more practice that you have with reminding yourself of this, the easier it's going to get. And then when you practice this, it's almost like the more expansive you'll become and the easier things will be for you. Because if you're always in a state or consistently in a state of resistance or not trusting or looking at the negative side, things can be quite challenging, because it's almost like all of this dense energy, this negativity is like closing you off a little bit. And when you're closed off, Spirit, God, the universe cannot get to you as easily. But if you begin to relax your shoulders down, you take a deep breath, you give yourself that moment of trust and faith and the deep breath and the opportunity to trust the process, then things will eventually become easier. So that is the direction that you are headed in. And I do hope this message was helpful for you. If you want, please leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. I'm just getting started, but maybe you are viewing this for the very first time, and maybe I have hundreds of thousands of followers. I'm not sure. But that's the great thing about this, is that the message will pertain to you at the right moment. That's the part of the universe. That is the beauty of how energy works, right? So whenever you're watching this, it doesn't matter if I recorded this yesterday or if we recorded this 3 years from now or 3 years in the history or whatever it is. As a psychic, it's like everything is all blended together and it doesn't really matter, but I'll teach more about that later on. No matter what, this is the perfect time for you to listen to this. So leave me a comment if you have a question. Head over to my website, tabithastitt.com. All of the links are below. And let me know if you have a question. And I do look forward to seeing you in the future at the next video and the next message for you, and always for the highest good. Take care.